Started here recording and showing some captions. Let's see if that helps. Okay. Alrighty, welcome everyone. This is our lesson number 4. Welcome. I hope everyone's been enjoying the class so far. I hope you've been able to complete we had 2 labs so far, and then we have our very first assignment that I assigned on Tuesday. So we have assignment number 1. It is due next Tuesday at 12 p.m. at Afghanistan time, so 12 p.m. your time. You want to finish the assignment before coming to next class. Today we're still going to be talking about some things that will help you with your assignment 1. And then next Tuesday, we're going to start some new stuff. So you do want to make sure you finish your assignment 1 by next Tuesday so you don't fall behind. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. One more announcement is that, oh, my voice is really not good today. One more announcement is that starting next Tuesday, where the class time is going to change because of the US's time change thing that we do in November. So we're starting next Tuesday, we're going to be meeting not at 6:30. Right now we're meeting at 6:30, 1 hour later, 7:30 p.m. IFT. Okay, I'm gonna put in the chat again, a reminder that next Tuesday we start class at 7:30 p.m. EFT 6. Yeah, let's put in the chat. So very important. So next, I'll send another reminder in on Monday that we're meeting at 7:30 and not 6:30. I know it's a little weird, but please bear with me. Yeah, a little bit odd. Oh, we have Yasna raised your hand. Did you have a question or did you?
Hello, Professor and everyone.
Hi.
I have a question regarding the assignment. Just do we need to follow the instructions or we can like bring any kind of changes to our assignment, like something that we haven't learned yet? And I want to just add those things as well. Can we do that or no? Just we have to follow the steps and do.
Sure, yes, you can. If you want to add more things, you totally can. As long as you want to make sure you do the instruction first, right? And then you want to add more stuff to it. Yes, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, do it.
And Professor, I have submitted my assignment. Can
Mhm.
I resubmit or bring any changes? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, great question. If you submit it and then you want to make changes again and submit again, yes, you can submit multiple times. Our learning assistants will grade whatever was submitted last. So we'll just take the last submission and grade that one. Yeah, great question, Yasna. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Let me share my screen and let me talk through the assignment real quick so that just to make sure everyone's on the same page. I have a dog here, so he keeps making noises. Okay. All right, so let us talk about assignment number 1 real quick. So you'll see in the lessons, here's lessons. Here is assignment number 1, right over here. Assignment 1, I made it very easy to access right over here. So at STEM, click on lesson, and then your assignment number 1 is right over here. Here's an example. This is just an example. Okay, this is not you don't have to make it look exactly like this. What's important is these requirements. Make sure you read these requirements. And as you can see, the requirements kind of flexible. You could pick something that you're interested in. It doesn't have, I picked this TV show called Avatar because it's a really fun show, but you can pick whatever else you want. It could be a movie, it could be your favorite food, favorite animal, another hobby you have, anything. You're going to write all of your code right over here where it says index.html. You can write all of your code in this one file. And as you're writing your code, blah, 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 you should be able to see it show up just right here. This little console thing pops up. You don't actually need it for this assignment, so you could like hide that, but you'll be able to see it down here. So if it gets a little bit hard to see, you can always like kind of try to move things around, or if you prefer, some students prefer this in the past, you can make a new workspace instead. Just create a new workspace, and it's sometimes easier to do the assignment in the workspace. And then when you're done in the workspace, you can copy paste it back into this index. You copy paste your code back into index.html and then make sure it works here and then submit that. So you can do that as well. But the whole thing is you want to work on it here. And then when you're done, just write your code in there. And whenever all the code looks good, make sure you don't forget to click this submit button right here, submit. Alrighty, so once you click submit, it's gonna, actually, why don't I try it? I'm just gonna click submit. It's going to say it's submitted, great. And then it's gonna tell you when it's submitted. And then later, when our learning assistants grade the work and they're gonna give you some feedback, like, oh, maybe you could change this or that, you're gonna see it show up here when it's ready. Okay, any questions so far about the assignment? And let me turn my video off. Go. Any questions about the assignment? Oh, all right. If some of you have already submitted the assignment, that's great. Good job. Right. And if you have any questions about your assignment, any questions at all, like, I don't know, it could be like, how do I add a background color or something like that? You want to go into the discussion and you can click on new thread. Don't forget in EdStem, we have a place called where you could ask questions. You could ask like, I have a question, about, I don't know, assignment 1. You can always ask in here. And here you go. And then you can ask your question, like, what does it mean? What does it mean to, like background, to add background color or something? I don't know, whatever it is, you can add your question in here. You can also, you could actually like write some code in here as well. Like, is this the right code? Something like this. And then you can like put your code in here as well. Like, I don't know, like header, I don't know. This is like, you can actually write code in here as well. So you can ask a question here. Also ask a question in WhatsApp. You can also go attend. So I believe Hami's going to have office hours. There's going to be office hours tomorrow. You can ask questions in the office hours tomorrow as well.
Teacher, can I ask a question now?
Of course, yes.
How did you add that white background? Right, it was a border, I don't know, or outline.
How did you, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, in that avatar poster, you added a white background.
Oh, okay, let me open it. Back to my lesson. Oh, this background color, like the white one?
Yeah.
So this whole box and then this whole box too, they're in actually I'm gonna talk about that today. They're in a section tag. So in your CSS, you can select the section tag and give it a background color white. We're actually gonna talk about this today. So I'll show you better in a little bit.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool, great question. Okay, all right, then let's get started. If nobody has questions, let's go ahead and get started with our lesson today. All right, so did everyone get to watch the lesson 4 video? Let me see who was able to watch lesson. Let me ask in the chat. Great. For those of you that watched lesson 4 video, great job. Awesome. Today what we're going to continue working off of our wonderful webpage about ashak. Again, looks so delicious. We're going to continue working off of this. We're going to make this page even better. We started learning about CSS. We learned how to start adding colors. We added like a list. And on Tuesday we also started talking about header tag, these layout, what I like to call layout tags, to help us get organized. We got like these sections. We're going to continue making this page look even better. Great. Looks like many of you were able to watch the video. If you are able, I know some of you have internet issues and things like that, but if you are able to watch the video, that is really great, because if the video covers everything we're going to be talking about in class. So during class, if your internet is weak, the Zoom doesn't work or whatever, you at least have watched the first video, so that this even if your Zoom drops off during class, you still have an idea of what we're talking about. So, okay, great. Okay, so this was lesson 3 workspace. We're gonna do the same thing like last time, where I want to keep my lesson 3 workspace as it is, and I want to make a copy of lesson 3 workspace and make a lesson 4 workspace, so that we can create a new one for this lesson. Okay, all right, so I'm going to put in the chat. If you want to fork your own workspace, you can just open up your workspace and go ahead and click on the little fork, right? If not, okay, I'll put in the chat last time. We will make a fork copy of lesson number 3 workspace. Forking it. You can fork your own lesson number 3, or fork mine here. Okay, so you can either use this is my lesson 3. I put the link in the chat. If you want to use that, you can. And then you're going to click on this little fork icon right over here. If you really like yours, you have your page from lesson number 3, you can also fork your own as well. Whatever you'd like, you can fork mine, fork yours. Let's go and click fork, and it says forks. Are you sure you want to create a copy? We're gonna say yep. And then let's go ahead and change this to be lesson number 4 now. Lesson number 4. I'll even rename the file here, lesson number 4. Here, maybe lesson 4 here. Yeah, there we go. And then click on the globe icon. All right. Okay, great. Just checking if everyone was able to fork it. So this is lesson number 4. Again, to fork a workspace, you can create this. And if you ever wanted to see this workspace icon, if you go to workspace on Edstem, you can see all our workspace we've made so far. So we had lesson number 1, and then remember lesson number 1, we had just barely started doing this, right? And then lesson number 2, lesson 3, number 4. Now we're on number 4. So as you can see, we are learning a lot every day. We're learning a little by little, and it's looking better every single lesson. So this is exciting. So we're on lesson number 4. Cool. Okay, then let's start adding stuff. Okay, so we have as you've seen, let's review CSS really quickly. We have this H1 tag that we have this CSS rule. In CSS we call these, there's so many rules at CSS. So this is one rule, this is another rule, this is a third rule. CSS is all about creating these rules to make our HTML do something. So for example, my H1 tag, I selected my H1 tag, gave it the text color blue, background color yellow. We gave it like a font size 50 pixels, so the font size looks big. And we did text align center to make the text align center, essentially. So awesome, great. And then we also did like an H2 tag where I chose this, the red, this H2 tag here about Ashok, and an H2 tag here, facts, H2 tag about here, how to make it, blah, blah, blah. We selected the H2 tag and gave that a color red. And just like that, we have, that's how powerful CSS is. Just with this one line, or there's 3 lines, we have made all of our H2 tags red, all of them red. That's what we did on Tuesday. So, and then we were also able to select our images, and the images turned a specific size as well. Now let's talk about like even these sections. I have like, let's review this real quick. We kind of went this over fast on Tuesday. Let's talk about these sections. So in websites, well, as we talked about, all websites typically have a header. We typically have some kind of main area. We have some kind of section. We have a main area that represents the main part of the website, and inside the main tag, we'll have these sections because I have an about section, and then we have like a facts section right down here, and then we have like another section for how to make Ashok. These section tags don't really change the way that our website looks like. It is helping us just organize our code a little bit. So very important here, just to recap here, layout tab, I put in the chat, more like a review. There's one more I want to add in here that's pretty important. The footer tag. All websites have footer tag. I like to add a little footer tag at the bottom just to be like, we can give ourselves a little bit of credit here. Made by Nyan or something. Okay. And if you want to have a little fun, we can also add emojis on web pages. It's pretty fun. You can grab emojis anywhere, but here you can copy paste. Put the link in here. Okay, so like, I like this one, heart hands. Okay, so you could actually like copy your emoji here and paste that in. Oh, Command V to paste. Yay. And there we go. There's a little emoji there. Isn't that fun? So if you want to put emojis in your web page, you can. Yeah, I love emojis. Righty, so layout tags, great, great, great. And another benefit, so now we got all these layout tags. Another benefit with these layout tags is that because we have these layout tags now, I can, in CSS, I can grab any of these. Like I can say like, you know, I don't know, footer, I just create the footer, right? I just create the footer. I have a footer down here. I can say, okay, here's my footer tag down there. I'm gonna give that entire footer tag, that the footer bottom, I could give it a background color. I don't know, pink. Just picking a color there. There we go. We have my footer down here has a background color. That whole section, that whole area, the whole footer area now has a background color, pink. So that's another benefit of these layout tags is that you're able to grab like entire, you grab, a lot of times you want to say like the footer, just the footer is going to have a specific background color. And then just the header is going to have a specific background color. So you can use these layout tags to group what you want to do for what kind of CSS you want to add for specific, for that specific tag. Okay, great. And then that brings us to our sections, these sections. Let's talk about these sections again. Let's go ahead and write a CSS rule for our section. I can do a section as well. In my section, I can give my section a different background color as well. Maybe, by the way, if you're wondering what colors, there's a lot of colors that, there's so many different colors that you can choose from. If you want a specific nice color, you can always look at this here. I'll put this in the chat as well. You can see more options. Okay, so let's pick maybe like a blue kind of thing here. Maybe a little bit like, so if I wanted like a very like a light kind of specific blue, you can do this. And notice there's like a lot of different numbers here. These are all the different ways we can write color in our web page. This is the most straightforward way. We call this hex colors. I'm going to copy this hex, these 6 digits here. And then back in my CSS, I can paste that in, paste. And then we're going to put a number, like a pound sign there. And then just like that, oh, there we go. My sections, this is my about section, has a light blue color now in the background. Somebody, we were asking about, what about the browser color, right? Like right now the browser color is like white. By default, browser color is always white. So right now it's white. But somebody asked like, how do we change that? Does anybody remember, this might be a hard question, but does anybody remember what tag represents the browser? Let me ask a question in the chat. What HTML tag represents? Oh, we already have an answer. So we have a lot of tags. Anyone have any answers? We have like, so we have like a head tag, HTML tag. Oh man, it's so loud here.
Thanks,
Hello,
teacher.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. About the section 1. Can you repeat it again?
The section one, this one right here.
Yes, that one, and the color is CEE9F.
Yeah. Sure. So for all right, let's review the section real quick again. So what we had before is that each of our, like, we have like an about area, we put them in a section tag like this, where we open a section tag, we close a section tag right here. And then in my facts, I have a section tag here, and then yeah, so all of these are in a section. So I can write a CSS rule for all 3 sections, just like that. And then I could add a background color. And previously we did like different background colors, like pink or red, or like we played with different colors before. But if you want to be a little more creative and choose a more custom color, a different color that you like, htmlcolorcodes.com is a great website where you can kind of like choose a color you like. Maybe you like maybe a slightly more yellow color, let's say. Like, I kind of like that color. Right over here, I kind of like this color. There's a number of different ways you can choose color. There's this pound sign. This is called what we call hex code. Hex code right here, hex here. There's also RGB, HSL. If you want, the easiest one we want to choose is this one. Let's go ahead and copy this code, this 6-digit code. And then we're going to go in here, and then we're going to just kind of put the pound sign and the Command V, just paste that in. And then we get a nice little yellow color like that. Right, so here, I'll put the website one more time in the chat. Very nice website if you want to be a little more creative and pick those colors. All right, going back to so that's how we can, select section, footer, my footer has a pink background color right here. So we can select any elements, any tags in our web page and change the color of just that page. Now let's go back to the question of what about the entire browser? Like, how can I change the color of the entire browser? Right, by default, the browser is like a white color. How can I change the color of the entire browser? To change the color of the entire browser, somebody did get it right. I think Rokia got it correct. Good job, Rokia. The body tag represents the entire browser. Whatever you see on the browser, it is inside this body tag. So if you want to change the color of your browser, we're going to select the body's entire browser, and we're going to change the body's background color to, I don't know, I'm just going to do black for now, just so we can see it really obviously. There we go. There we go. All right, let's see. Fatima has a question here. What is this one? Yeah, so I see a little typo here. So Fatima asked a question. So her background color is not working. Anyone know why? Right here, there's the reason we have a question here. Why can't we have a background? Why is the background color not working? Yeah. So yes, this is a very common mistake, Fatima. You need to add a semicolon right after here. So like I did here, make sure you have a semicolon right at the end here. Yes. Also, you have a semicolon, like there's a section and then a semicolon right there. You want to get rid of that, delete that. So it should look like this: sections, just section, space, background color, and then add the little semicolon there. And then you do have the closing tag, closing skip. For my background color, black, I just did body background color black. Black is one of the colors that work. So there are some colors that you could just type in English and it'll work. And if you want to get more specific colors, more custom colors, then you need to get like the hex code. But yeah, it's because I have background color black here. Yeah, sure. I can go talk about footer again. The footer is at the way bottom here, footer tag. Way at the bottom. Footer is usually at the very, very bottom of any web page you visit. It's at the very, very bottom, the footer. Yeah. And then because my footer has it just has one piece of text, footer. I have a website made by Nyan with an emoji like that. In my CSS, I do footer, colon, and then background color pink. There we go. I'm gonna put some comments in here. Remember that you can write comments. Comments are really great for notes taking. You can write some notes as you're learning. I like to put comments as well, like body represents the entire browser. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so now let's start talking about some more specific stuff here. So right now everything is everything has a background color like this yellowish, beigeish background color because I have a section tag, each of my sections have a section tag. So remember, CSS is very powerful. When you create a rule for CSS, all the elements, all the tags in the page follow that CSS rule. But what if we wanted to make it a little bit more specific? Like, I don't want all 3 sections to have the same background color. What if I want, I don't know, maybe the facts to be a different color, or maybe the about section should be a different color. This is where IDs or class names are going to come in handy. And I talked about this in the video, but let me just show it to you real quick again here. We have something called an ID attribute, and you can use the ID or class to name any element on the page. So for example, let me go to my about section. This is my about section here. In this tag, remember attributes, I can add an attribute called ID. Remember attributes, attributes have the equal sign with the double quote like that. And I can give this section a name. I'm gonna call it about, okay, for example, about. Okay, just like that, using IDs, I can start naming some of my sections to make it more specific, to start helping us make things unique. So my facts section, I can also give it a name called facts, for example. And then maybe the last one is a how-to. You can do how -to. When you're creating an ID, you cannot put spaces. Do not put spaces. If you want, use dashes instead. Use dashes. Don't put, IDs have to be one word. Okay, there we go. So any tag that you element that there is, you can give it an ID attribute to uniquely name a specific thing. This is useful for 2 reasons. Number one, we can now kind of, again, all this idea about making it easy for us to read code. Now it's very obvious. Okay, this section right away, you can, okay, that's the fact section. Okay, this section is the how-to section. Great. This section is the about section. Awesome. Now we know exactly what is what. That's the first benefit. Second benefit is that now that we have an ID in my CSS, I can select any HTML element, any HTML tag using this ID. So for example, this section has an ID about. So I can select it by using a # like this, about, like that, right? About, just like that. And then I'm gonna give it a different background color. Maybe this time I do orange, I don't know. Just picking a color. Well, and take a look at that. Now my about section here is orange. And then my other 2 sections are still the FFF color, because my about here, we overwrote my section. Okay, so this is great when you want to uniquely identify, you want to make a specific thing a different color. So, or different CSS. So like my about, for example, I want it to be a background color orange. That's how I did it. So let me type a recap. Let me do a recap in the chat as I explain one more time. Can add an ID attribute to any HTML tag. This is like naming a tag. This is great for 2 reasons. One, makes it clear in your code what the code is doing. 2, you can select IDs in your CSS rules to make only that element change. one very important thing about ID is that it has to be, keyword here is unique. It has to be unique, meaning that you can't do like this. Here's an example. No two elements can have the same ID. This is bad, 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 bad. Okay, ID is unique. Only one HTML tag can have that specific ID. This is good. You can have different IDs. That's fine. You can have as many IDs as you want, but it has to be different. It's a very unique thing. Oh, we got a good question here. Very great question. The question is, can we use ID several times in the same time? So you can only, great question. So you can only have ID like once, like this. You can't do, for example, you can't do this like another, like this. This is bad. You can't do this. Only one ID per tag. So you can have another ID here. I don't know, about heading or something. That's fine. This is fine. This is good, but only one ID attribute. And you can't put like another ID. You can't do like stuff like this either. No spaces at all in ID. It's all just one word, but you can use dashes or underscores too. We typically use dashes for IDs. All right. Then I want to talk to you about, so we talked about class, ID, sorry. But there's also another attribute called class that you might also find helpful. Class is a little bit more generic attribute, but does something similar to IDs. You can add some names to an element, but this time for classes, you can add more than, this is fine. Like here's my example here. So notice how these last two paragraphs have a class, example class, and I have a CSS rule, example class, background color yellow. There you go. So with classes, you can add classes to any HTML element, and it doesn't have to be unique, and they will all follow your .css rule. So let's go back here. Let's try this out. So classes are a little bit more generic. Let's say I want to make like something very like a highlight or something like that. Let's do like let's create a class. Let's see, where should we do this? Maybe my link. Okay, where's my link here? I have my anchor link here. Right, I have my anchor link here. There we go. And then right over here, I'm gonna give my anchor link. My anchor link already has an href attribute, target attribute. I'm gonna give it another attribute here. Class. Right, class, just like this. Let's give this a highlight class. Okay, class highlight. All right, I gave my anchor link a class highlight. And then I'm also gonna give maybe this h2 here. Let's give my h2 here a class highlight, let's say, just as an example. Okay, my facts about Ashok has a class highlight. And classes, you can have the same name, highlight. I have two highlights here, right? And then in my CSS, I can select the class name using a period, this dot here, and say highlight. And then I'm gonna say, I can make it specific, like maybe I want a background color, like yellow. Maybe I want it to be color, I'm running out of color, like purple, yeah, purple maybe. And then I could maybe even make it like, so there's something called font. If you want to bold something, you can do font weight. There we go. Yeah. So because of this CSS rule, now my anchor link, there you go. My anchor link is yellow, has a background color, because of my class, has a background color, yellow and purple. And then so does my H2. My H2 now has a background color yellow and it is purple. The color is purple, thanks to my CSS class here. So I'm gonna put some comments in here so that you can always refer back to this. Select a ID. Big difference being, again, ID can be only used once. A class can be used multiple times. Here, here, anywhere. I mean, I could even add it to, like, it's delicious. I can add a highlight here, and it will change that too. So classes are really useful when you know that you're going to use the same CSS rule over and over again. That's the best place to use it. So let me put in the chat let's recap here. You can also use class attribute to all right. Class and ID, very similar. A lot of times you might never need to use ID. Sometimes you never need to use class. But the big key difference is that class you can use multiple times like this. I have a class highlight, right? I use it multiple times. Whereas ID, once it's used once, it's only used for that element and that's it. Also with class, you can also give a class multiple classes. You can have multiple class names. Like this. So if let's say I had like another class here, large or something like that. Okay, this is very, you can do this in class only. In ID, you cannot do this in ID. Only in classes, you can add multiple class names to an, I forgot what the limit is. You can add a lot of class names though. And then if I had up here like large, and I had like a really big font size, like, I don't know, like 50 pixels or something. There you go. That also works too. Yes, Rokia, great question. You can also have like a ID here and a class here. That's fine as well. Whoa, notice what that just did though. What that did is now my entire section is using class large. So my class is that's why it's like the font size is really big on the last one. Yeah, I'll leave it up there for you to try out. So ID, class, fun stuff. Let me recap here. Class, the difference between class and ID, is that ID is unique and can only be used once. Class can be used in multiple elements. Also, we can have multiple class names. IDs can only have one. Any other questions before we move on?
Teacher, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Why you add large? What's the difference between highlight large and the simple highlight?
Yeah, I was just showing some examples. This was just for fun. I just wanted to show you that you can have like a highlight class, large class, and then I just wanted to show that you can put multiple class names in one. Like this is good, this is fine. And you can also, even if you already have an ID on an element, you can have a class too. So I'm just showing some different ways you can add IDs and classes. That's all. Just examples. Yeah, and then I define the CSS rule up here. Any other questions?
No, teacher, we don't have any question. We understand.
Okay.
I can understand the ID tag very well, but I'm still confusing with the class one.
Class.
Why we use it? Why? If ID is here.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, the ID, you're right. ID and class, very similar, very similar. They're both used to like name specific elements, right? And we give name to these tags. The only difference, sometimes class is useful. Class is useful when you want multiple things to have the same thing. So highlight is an example. Maybe you want multiple words to like, so this is highlight class gives us the background color yellow and color purple and font weight bold. So maybe you want to use the same class for something else, for multiple things. I want to use it for the anchor link tag. So I use it for, you know, the anchor link here, right? I use it for anchor link here. And then maybe I want to use it for this. I want to highlight this, this li tag here, this li tag. So I give that class a highlight. And maybe I want to highlight for whatever reason, this number 2 right over here, this make the dough, I want to give it the same, you know, background color. I can add a highlight here too, like that, you know? So it's useful when you want to do the same CSS for other things. Does that help? We'll do more practice with classes. Yeah, but let me put in the chat. Really great question, by the way. Recap, why use classes? It's useful when you want to apply the same CSS rule for multiple elements. For example, maybe you want to highlight different words. Yeah. So this one class, I can use it for many things. Is a advantage here, but it's okay if it's still kind of hazy. We will keep doing as we make more and more complicated websites. Later on, classes classes get really useful when you have a lot of things going on in your website. So yeah. Okay, then excuse me. Okay. Next thing I do want to show you is oh wow, our web page is looking very colorful. So we can kind of like make this change the size a little bit about our browser. There we go. So notice how like our section tag or even our footer tag on the bottom here, notice that like the width, let's talk about width and height real quick. The width kind of changes according to whatever the browser size is. The width just becomes as big, as wide as a browser. The height is just as tall as however much content is in the height. Okay, the height is just as tall as whatever text is inside my tags here. But with CSS, we can change this as well. Let's go to our about again. Let's go to our about. Here's my about. I can change the width of my about section just by saying width. And then let's just make like a 600 pixels. Whoa, there we go. Now, notice my orange color. It is now the width is 600 pixels, px. So we can change the width of our HTML elements pretty easily like this. We can also change the height as well, but I really don't recommend, we can change the height, but I don't recommend changing the height because what happens is, take a look at this. This looks weird, right? When you change the height of something, if the content is too tall, the content is gonna come out, like it's gonna pop out. So I usually don't, I highly recommend not changing heights unless it's for something very specific. I'm gonna put that in a comment. You can also set the height of the tag, but I don't recommend it, but it is not recommended because it can mess up the layout. Yeah. So just leave the height alone. There's other ways to change the height. So yeah, width is useful. However, let's start talking about a little more specific things, like, let's start to refine our page a little bit. Notice that the text is like really close to the edge. Like my text is so close to the edge of my block of the section tag here. It's like getting way too close here. It's getting a little too close. What if I want to add some spacing here? I want to add some spacing here. To do that, there's two ways you can add spacing to an element. Anyone happen to remember what the property is? There are two ways to add spacing to an element. Two CSS properties. Oh, Tahara's question answers, and yeah, actually NBSP does give you some spacing, but that's like the HTML. We can add like little codes there, which kind of works. But what about for CSS? How can we add spacing in CSS? Great. Yep, padding and margin. Great job. There's two different properties where you can add spacing. It's padding and margin. Let's start with padding first. So padding creates space inside my about section. Here. Okay, it's going to create spacing in here. If I just do padding, like I'm going to pick a random number, 20 pixel. Whoa, there we go. It creates spacing all around us. It creates spacing all around my section. Nice. 20 pixels on the left, 20 pixels on the right, 20 pixels on the bottom, like that, on the top as well. Right. You can also do padding if you want to be specific. You can also do padding left and then it'll only give padding on the left side, for example, but not on the bottom. You could do padding bottom 20 pixels like that. You know, you can do padding, and you can make it specifically for different sizes, padding top, let's say. You can do that as well. Right? So padding creates space inside an element like this about section here. Inside. That's padding. Let's put some comments in here. Yes, Masuma, that is great. Yep, padding is inside. And then we can also create space outside. What about, like, I want to like kind of move the whole orange box to the side a little bit. That's where margin comes in handy. If I do margin left, like 40 pixels or something like that, there we go. Now we create space outside, right? Outside. So I'm going to show you this. I like this illustration a lot. Margin creates space outside that gray area. Padding creates space inside an element. Okay, key thing here, margin left. So margin, same idea. You could do margin like top. We got like create more, like you can do like 80 pixels, or we could do like 150 or something. There you go. We create space on top of my element. We could do margin bottom. I'm just picking random numbers here, by the way. You're welcome to fix the play around with the numbers to make it like, just so you can match it to what you'd like. And then because of this, using margin, we can horizontally center this entire section as well. Let me put that in the comments. Using margin, we can horizontally center an entire element. All right, so we can do margin left, auto, margin right, auto, and just like that, my whole about section here is now centered. So no matter what browser size I have, my about section is now centered, thanks to margin left, margin right, auto. Okay, let me do a whole recap in here. Covered a number of things here. Okay, this whole about section, I added stuff to this. Let's do a recap in the chat here. Right. Yes, we're okay. You're right. We can, in the short form, you can also do margin 0 auto as well. Yep. Great. This is actually looking a lot like our assignment number 1. Right? So our assignment number 1, you're going to be doing very similar things. So don't forget this, width is important. We can change the width to whatever we like. We can add margin left auto, margin right auto, so on and so forth. Cool, great. There's one more thing I want to show you today. Now that we're getting pretty good at we're writing all kinds of different CSS properties, we're centering things, we're using IDs, classes. Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot. I need to show you one more thing here. Before I jump there. So we added some margin and things like that. I just want to show you one thing. We can also add borders. Border is really fun. Border, like I could add a border around the section. So border property has 3 of them. There's border color. Let's do like red. I keep using the same colors. Green maybe, and then we'll do border, style, solid, border, with 1 pixel. Let's see if we can see. Oh, it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to see, but there's my green border right there. It's really hard to see. Maybe I make it bigger, like 10 pixels or something. There we go. Now we got some borders. Border is fun to play with. You can add borders around an element. You could also add border around images too. Oh, white. Oh yeah. Okay, great suggestion. I could add white. There we go. Great. Yeah. Borders are kind of fun too. You can add some borders around. You could change the width. You can also do like style as border style is solid. You could also do like dotted. There's dotted. They could add like dots. There's dashed. Okay, dashed. You can also do styled. I forgot what it was. Okay, I don't remember. But yeah, a lot of different ones you can do as well. So you can have borders around sections like this. So that's why the section tag also is very nice, is because all of this is inside my section tag. So my entire section, the entire section is going to get the border. It's going to get the whole thing all around here. Yeah, nice. Okay, border. And you could add borders on images too. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff here. All right, let's go back. So the last thing I want to show you is, now that we're working with all these different things, and the more code you write, the more mistakes are going to happen. You're going to start seeing some weird things. There's actually a lot of little weird things in CSS that happen, and you might be like, why is this not working? As a developer, the most common phrase we use is, why isn't this working? 80% of the time, your code is not working. That's actually very normal for life of a developer, is things are not working and you're trying to figure out why. It's like a puzzle. It's puzzle solving all the time. So let's help us figure out how can we help us figure out what's going on wrong. So anytime we call this is a term, debugging. That's what we call debugging. Debugging means like figuring out what went wrong. Debugging, let me put it in the chat. Okay. So I want to start showing you some ways you can debug to help you figure out what went wrong. And I want to show you this a little bit earlier. Usually we do debugging a little bit later, but I'm going to try showing you a little bit earlier so you can start trying to put on your detective hat and start figuring out how to debug things earlier on. I think it's a really helpful skill. So let's look at this. Like, I already have an example here. In my about section, I have margin left, padding left, padding bottom. I have all the padding set to 20 pixels. But for some reason, if you look up here, so padding left is 20 pixels, that looks fine. But over here, I have a really large spacing, right? Even though I did padding top 20 pixel, like this is really big. This is not 20 pixel. This is really big. Like my padding left is 20, right? My padding left is 20. That's about 20. But my padding top, I put 20. but it's like really tall here. What went wrong? Like, why is there so much space on here, for example? This is where that debugging comes in handy. And I'm using Chrome right now, but this works in all browsers. You can right click in the browser, and this keyword here is called inspect or inspect element. And what that does is it's going to pop up some kind of window, another one. You can, by the way, use these three dots. You can move these around if you want to. All right, but I'm going to put this right over here. And I'm going to click on this little arrow icon, and I can kind of like try to press my ish problem right here. And I can see my code here. Oh, this is exactly what my code, this is my code here. I have my header, right? I got my HTML, my body, I got my header here. My header is the top area here. This is my main. My main starts here. Here's my section. Oh, here's my about section. Notice down here has all the CSS properties I wrote, the background color, width, padding, left, bottom, all this, like the section, all this stuff up on top here. All that is up there. And then let's take a look at, let's scroll down. Here's my H2 tag. Okay, my H2 tag. And let's kind of zoom in a little bit here. Here's my H2 tag. So this inspect element tool is very helpful in helping us see what are all of my elements doing. It's kind of helping me see that. So my H2 tag here right away, I can see something here. It's kind of hard to see on my screen. Hopefully you can see it. There's like some, like, notice my H2 actually has some extra spacing on the top here, right? It has some extra spacing on the top. And that's probably why, even though my section that has a padding, has that padding, but my H2 is adding additional spacing on the top. And that's because H2 by default, look at this, it comes with some margin on the top here. Okay, right? So using these debugging tools, it can help us figure out what the heck is going on. One more time, let me do this one more time. I just to open up our inspect tool, we're gonna right click in here and we're gonna right click on here, click on inspect, and then you can, the exact code we write, I can kind of hover over this and see what each thing is doing. So my H2, again, my H2 here is creating, it has some extra spacing on the top. So if I remove, maybe I could remove my spacing here. Let me zoom back out. And I can say, you know what, H2, or does my I have a ID here. You know what, H2, I don't want you to, your margin on the top is too big. I can say margin top, I could overwrite it just to 0. And boom, just like that, my H2 right here, my H2 tag right there has no more margin up on top. I overwrote it and it shows up right over here. All right, so you can, as you're writing your assignment number 1, you can just practice this. Feel free to just try it on your own. Pop up, right click, pop open the inspect element, and you can kind of try to figure out, okay, what is this doing? What's going on? It's really fun. A nice thing about the inspect element is you could even like uncheck, if I uncheck this, you could temporarily kind of see what happens if I remove this margin or if I change this color or something like that too. So it's helpful for you to debug. Again, keyword is debug, to figure out what is going on here. Let me type in the chat one more time. I'm gonna put some comments in here. All right, any questions? A little bit tricky here, but it's right click again, just to recap here, right click on the browser, inspect or inspect element, inspect tool. Chrome has this. If you're using Edge has this. Safari, like all the major browsers have this. So hopefully you can see it. Okay, so it looks like most people got it. If you have more questions, you can ask in the breakout room how to do this. Very useful. One last one I want to show you. This is another tool. So sometimes everything might look. This is something I'm going to ask you to do in your assignment as well. Sometimes your code might all look good and everything, but sometimes you might have little mistakes that might not be obvious. There is a tool called HTML validators. There are a lot of these out there. You can actually just Google HTML validator. HTML, there's a lot of them out there. There's this one. I clicked on the first one. Here's another one. What you can do is you can copy paste your entire code into a validator like this, and then it's going to tell you if there's any issues. Oh, let me do it back in here. Let's do it here. See this one. Check. And it will tell you if there's any issues with your code. It actually gives me a warning is okay. Warning says consider add a language attribute to the HTML. Okay, actually that's a good advice. I didn't put that in here. We should put a language English up there. And if I had forgotten if I forgot to close my tag or something, it will actually tell me errors right away too. Yeah, so this is another, so whenever, I like to do this at the end, whenever you're done writing your code, I like to just throw in the validator to check that all your code looks good, is validated. Sometimes your code, thank you, Angel. Yep. So even in your assignment, when you're done with your assignment 1, I'll put in the chat. When you are done, please copy, paste your code into the validator. Okay, because when you're writing code, it is, yes, number one thing is it does need to look good, right? On the browser, the code needs to look good. That is the highest priority. However, that's not it. Your code itself also has to be good. There are times where it might look good on the browser, but your code itself is not good. So you want to double check everything. And that's, as a developer, that's very important. Your code needs to look good. Your whatever is showing on the browser needs to look good too. And it has to be clean. Like, it's very important for everything to look clean. So yeah. Oh, great question. Yeah, tag element is the same. Tag and element. Yeah, like tag is technically like how, the name of a tag. Element, it just means this tag is creating like an element, but we can say it's the same. Yeah, great question. Okay, so today we have no specific lab, although if you want to, you can go for it. You can make you can continue the free code camp tutorials. Or if you want to work on your assignment number 1, I want to give you some time to work on it, because as the first assignment, it's really important to get all these details working. And I want to make sure you're successful in your first assignment. So we are going to do some breakout room today. We're going to have about 20 minutes or so. And I want you to work on your assignment number 1. So I'm going to put that in the chat here. In breakout room today, work on assignment number 1, no lab today. If you finish all the labs and assignment, you can work on here, I think we're at a really good spot now. So if you did finish everything, if you already finished your assignment and lab and everything, you can actually work on this second learn basic basic CSS by building a cafe menu. Yasna, go ahead. Yeah, you raise your hand.
Yes, Professor. I have 2 questions. The first one that can we link an HTML document and also a CSS document? Those are like separate. Can we link them together, like work the coding, like do the coding in HTML and the style, like enhancing the style in CSS and EDSTEM?
Yeah, sure. If you know how to do that already, that's great. Yeah, if you want to have HTML file for just HTML and then CSS for a CSS file for just CSS, that is totally fine. Yep.
Professor, I know, and I can do that in Visual Studio, but in EDSTEM, I couldn't do that.
Oh yeah, you can do it in EdStem too. You can do you see this plus icon, and then you can do a new file like this, new file, and then do like style.css like that. And then you can link the two doing link they have I forgot the exact shoot. I think it's
Link, I think link REL.
yeah, and then oh man, I should like something like this. Yeah.
Yes, Professor, I know that. And another question that, for example, sometimes we go through the AI and for correcting our code, like copying our code and paste it over there to like correct our coding and it elaborate as well that how we can fix our mistake. If we copy that and like in assignment section, paste that, does it show that it's like taking the coding is taken from the AI and it's counting as something like usage of AI? I would like to know that is the usage of AI prohibited in this course or not?
Oh, great. Wow, great question. You're ahead of the curve. You already know about AI stuff. No, it is not prohibited. If you want to use some AI tools to help you with your code, that is fine. That is great. I use AI for my own work in Visual Studio Code. As long as you're learning, the key code here is you want to make sure you're understanding everything. You don't want to just blindly copy paste stuff, which it doesn't sound like you're doing. So if it's helping you and it's giving you it's helping you fix your code and giving you tips, that's great. Yes, you can use AI. Yeah, great question. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into breakout rooms right now. Yeah, no, there's no lab today unless you haven't finished the other 2. It's just assignment 1 today. I really just want everybody to do assignment 1. Assignment 1 is so important. You have to finish assignment 1 so that we can talk about more advanced topics next week. So assignment 1 is so important. Assignment 1 is due next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at 12 p.m. AFT. And yes, you can write the code directly in here for assignment 1, or if you want to, some people just like Workspace better. So you can create a new workspace for your assignment and then copy paste it. You just have to submit it through here and click the submit button. So if you want to write it in here, it's totally fine. Okay. All right. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. Give me 1 second to set that up. Okay, and we are going to start the breakout room. All right. Okay, ready, set, go. Yeah, if you have a question, sure, you can ask. Masuma. Yeah.
Hi, teacher. Can I come a photo or image in workspace?
Can you add, is your question, can you add an image into workspace?
Yes.
Yeah, you can add any images you like. You can use like the URL, or you can also click on this and upload, and you can upload your own image too. Yeah, so you could click this, upload, and upload any images you want. Or you can use URL as well.
Yes, teacher. My question was, can I edit image on my desktop in workspace?
Yeah. So is your image saved in your desktop?
Yes, and edit in workspace. How I can?
Yeah. So if you click on this plus, this is the workspace. If you click on the plus icon here, and then click upload like this, upload, and then go to your desktop. Go to your desktop, and then if you should be able to find the image, like this one I have, for example, and then click open, and then it will come up here. That's the image, and then you can put like like this kind of image src, and then put the name of the image like that, and then it should show up.
Okay, thanks, teacher.
Yeah, you can try. Yeah, if you have a question, let me know. But yeah, that's your work. Let me delete this. Yeah. Please join your breakout room and work on assignment number 1. I will be jumping around to help you out in the breakout rooms as well. We will come back at 5 minutes before the end of class.
Salam everyone, welcome back from your breakout rooms. I'll add this in the chat as well, but Professor Nyan had a work emergency, so she had to leave while you were in your breakout rooms. But I'll go ahead and close up our class for today. So there's just two quick reminders. One of them is, of course, to finish your first assignment. And the second one is that your class time on Tuesday is 1 hour later because of the time change in the US, right? And so your class is going to begin at 7:30 p.m. next Tuesday. If you have a question, you're welcome to stay back, but otherwise, I'll go ahead and close up the room in maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So feel free to use the chat if you have a question or maybe something to share, but otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today.
Thank you, After John. I don't have question.
Okay, thank you so much, Fatima Jan. See you on Tuesday.
See you. Goodbye.
Bye, Khadafis. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Okay, great. See you all on Tuesday. Take good care. Khadafis.
Khudafiz.
Oh, I had an interruption with my internet. What happened?